Well, how about this? Let's get to Raw.
Yeah, hell yeah. I thought, surprise, surprise, I thought it was good. Not as good as last week's, but I thought I did a good job promoting the Survivor Series match, like what you want to see in a Survivor Series, and the pay-per-view that's coming up. I think it did a great job of doing that. That's what you kind of want. You know, it's not the go-home show, but it's getting you hyped up for it.
Yeah, I sit back and go, even when I did my Raw recap, the first thing I think is, okay, 2 straight weeks in a row, we get a good show. It's just a rib. All I can think is, it's just a rib. Like, we didn't do anything to deserve this. What's going on? Like I'm like Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter, and maybe that's what it is. Like, hey man, like what's going on here? This is a bunch of this is a ruse because we've been here before. We watched the show, and we get like a good show. Maybe we get like another week of good show, and it's like, then it all goes to hell.
I really do think it seems so fresh without. I mean, there's new guys in our face like Del Rio and
new again.
Yeah, new again. I should say fresh. And then there's the absence of Orton and Cena, and then not that much authority. There was a lot more authority, I would feel like 2 months ago. So I think all these guys who've been at mainstays for at least 2 to 10 years, 2 years in their current characters, 10 to 15 throughout the whole show, that are kind of gone now. I mean,
well, they've phased out. Oh, well, we start from the top right now. John Cena, he's out for 6 weeks. Yeah, he won't be back for a while.
Orton, Hunter, Kane.
Well, let's slow down. Cena, Orton, Bryan, Show, Kane. And we're talking about guys that are on there. These are the guys that have been owning the main event or the upper mid card for quite some time. Just are not around, and just maybe those 5 in particular. So it just talks. So to a certain degree, it's wide the fuck open. It's right now. It is open season for someone to be that guy, to be the guy to step up and be like someone who gets that push. You look at guys like Dolph Ziggler. His match was like very the way he sold, just the way he performed. With that, I was like, this guy's trying. This guy's going all out. Well, and you look at. I'm not going to the match itself. I'm just going over performances. Yeah. I think Cesaro's seeing that opening and he's trying his best, but it's more than the in-ring. It's something else. It's something tangible. I think it's just a matter of stepping out and sticking his chest out as the guy. You look at the Divas division and what's happening with Becky. I think Becky Lynch right now is working her ass off. She's doing what she can. You look at a guy like Bray Wyatt. That promo, probably the best he's ever done. That was like Paul Heyman-ish type. And the way that the delivery was very theatrical, very like, boom, he sold it. And, as much as I don't like Roman Reigns, Mr. Kick Punch, Slap Kick Punch, at least he's trying. And it just sucks that they're giving him the benefit of the doubt more than anyone else on that roster right now. And that's the only problem. Mm-hmm. They're putting him in a position to succeed. It's up to him to take the ball and run with it. Well, you got a guy like Dolph Ziggler who feels that the ball needs to be in his hands. And he's performing in that way. Dean Ambrose, a person who feels the ball needs to be in his hands, who's performing at that level. Ryback, not so much, but
I feel like he feels that it should be in his hands, but he definitely tries hard, but I don't think he's not on any of the level that any of these other guys you mentioned, other than maybe a Roman Reigns.
It keeps getting booked into into silliness. Not necessarily into silliness. Dolph Ziggler gets booked into silliness, but it's just like at one point you had this guy, he was a red hot monster. You tag him up with McGillicuddy, and then that became an ultimate joke. Then you just bring him back like none of that part happened in his career.
Punk, I think when he main evented against Punk, I think Punk said something.
Who's that? What? Which guy?
CM Punk.
Punk?
He said something about how he never wanted to wrestle Ryback again, and then they put him in that bullshit.
What?
Yeah, you didn't.
I don't know this. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Oh, and then he said he didn't want to.
He? Who's this he?
Well, if you watch let me just say my point. So he said he didn't want to wrestle him again, so they put him in a jobber tag team with McGillicuddy. And, they kind of kept him there because they didn't, one of their main guys didn't want to work him. So then once he left, they brought him exactly back into that same thing they had him in before he got all that heat with Punk. So, I mean, that's obviously, I think, what happened with his push in his career.
Disclaimer, guys, I have no idea who this Punk guy he's talking about. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that was his point.
Maybe that's why he likes Sheamus, is because he doesn't know good wrestlers like Punk.
I didn't say shut your mouth.
You might want to do some YouTube watching.
Shut your mouth. So let's get into this. So it starts off with Roman Reigns, and he's given the microphone, which he should never have the microphone.
I think he's getting better, though. I think
he's not.
His delivery is getting a little better, I think, week to week.
He hits a wall. He's hit a wall in terms of how he talks. He talks the way he talks. There's nothing.
He plays to the crowd. I think he's doing all right. I think he's working on it. I think it's improving.
If he's talking to a wrestler, if he's turned to you and talking to you, I think he does well. But if he's talking to a captivated audience,
I think when he talks to the in-house crowd, I think he's doing better.
No.
I think it started out as awful all around.
No.
Then it started getting good when he's talking to a wrestler, and now it's starting to get good in-house. And I mean, that's improving.
He shoots on Seth Rollins about how he's going to kick his ass and take the belt. Rollins comes out and he brags about how, he cashed in at WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. Stephanie and Triple H come out, and, thank God that it's Susan G. Komen is done with. So now they could just be full-on heels, right? They could just be heels now.
I hated this. I thought Stephanie's delivery was awful.
It was awful because you know what? They've been such, pandering pieces of fucking shit, hypocritical, just their characters in themselves. Mm-hmm. These hypocrites and these sort of, kayfabe breaking motherfucks, to where they're nice and nice and stuff. So mm-hmm. There's a whole month they're completely, or even Triple H, because he's babyface on NXT, hugging Sasha Banks and hugging fucking Bailey. They've been nice guys for the past 2 months, and now all of a sudden they got to be dicks. It's definitely as much of a transition.
And then Triple H made that pot joke. I mean, fuck you, man.
Yeah, he made a pot joke, but that was a poorly delivered pot joke.
Oh, it was poorly delivered, and I don't know.
But then they tried
It wasn't from the heart, man. He doesn't smoke weed.
Rollins should have been saying at least 50% of what they were saying. Run down the fucking city. You think we were doing it this dump? Basically.
Yeah.
That's what Rollins should have been doing. They teased the match about them, teased them to get the match, and then they pull out. It's nah, this place doesn't deserve this. And I'm like, where the fuck was this a month ago? Where the fuck was this a year, 2 months ago? If you're going to be a fucking asshole, heel, authority figure, then play it out. Even through Susan G. Komen, And now you come up looking like total dweebs. And that's all. And it just...
they had to get some way around booking the match with Team Rollins and Team Reigns, which was a Survivor Series type matchup. That was the main event. So I guess they should have came out there, but it should have been just real quick, like you said.
Man.
Yeah, Hunter and Stephanie, I think this was the worst part of the show for me.
They should have just...
This promo was real bad.
And actually, it could have been the other way around. I mean, it could have been either way. Just Rollins and Reigns out there talking their shit, or just the authority out there talking their shit. It could have been either or. That's all I'm saying. To get the two in together, it's just you got so many different things going on at once. But the ultimate thing is, because, he won the number one contendership. We know what's going to happen. But what's up with these authoritative figures? Oh, now they're assholes again. That, to me, was the takeaway. Okay, they're back to their asshole, heelish ways as authoritative figures. Yeah. That's what stood out to me. And I hope they stick with it. I hope they stop running down and neutering the other heel fucking...
Oh, they're not going to... Triple H did that his whole career. That's all he pretty much did as soon as he left DX. That's all he's been doing.
But more or less Stephanie.
The
last time she ran down the New Day?
Yeah, that was bad, but Triple H has been doing that his whole time, man. Triple H just needs to be off the TV, especially if he's not wrestling, in my eyes. But I like how they do these, it seems like more emphasis on a showline storyline. I know, of course, you come out, you book the main event, and that's what they do, and then the announcers remind you of it. But I feel like these past few weeks, mm-hmm. It's just been, a really drawn throughout. Last week was, a tournament-type setting. This week is, who's it going to be? And then, wrestlers that were in matches like get talked to and like, oh, you did a good job being this main event with me, things like that. I really like. Do you want to just go over like the main event or?
No, do you want to go there?
Yeah, let's just break down this story. And then like
oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, first Owens, he wrestled Ziggler, but we'll talk about that later. Owens gets called down the back and asked to join Seth Rollins, and he says yes. So we get a little bit of that, and then
but he also, the way that Rollins actually persuades him to join, because he's a loner. He's a loner. Kevin Owens is a loner guy. He's a lone wolf. He fights for incentives, and the only way Seth Rollins can actually get him to join, the best way I think he could come up with, was promising him a title shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
which I thought was, I was like, dude, why are you opening up that can of worms?
I mean, I get they're going to talk about Mania more and more. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it was just a way to butter Owens up to join the team.
Yeah, it was, but he's like, remember, you owe me one.
Yeah,
and Owens' character is someone that's on top of this.
I think there's a lot of pay-per-views before we get to Mania, and then if it comes out that Rollins isn't going to get him that shot, then there's going to be friction, and that's a Raw main event, if not a B show main event.
Just don't write yourself into a paper bag, WWE.
Oh, I think they're going to with
that thing. All right, that's all. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
though, right?
And then Kofi and Big E were in the back, run into Rollins. They talk about how they want to be on the show, and then who comes out playing a trombone?
Yeah,
still with the trombone.
Yeah,
Xavier Woods. We missed him. And
he's back.
So we know who Team Rollins is, but we don't know who Team Reigns is going into the main event.
I always love when the New Day run up with other heels.
Yeah.
Because even Rollins, he's like, oh, God damn it, you annoying fuck. Wait, you're kind of cool. Yeah. And even at the end, he does like a little jig with them, and he's like, no, whatever, stop. And even when he comes down to the ring, it's the same thing. He's like, fuck yeah, you guys rule. I can see if they ever did another sort of faction with him, it would be suspect as hell. But like if the New Day basically replaced Kane and J&J,
oh yeah,
that would be fun. Actually, it would be fun. It would be suspect. And I wouldn't really want to see the New Day in that. But their dynamic between Rollins and the New Day, it's interesting. It's probably the most interesting of them all because, he thinks he's all that.
Well, I mean, Rollins,
they big him up.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Rollins and Xavier Woods and Big E, they all were in NXT and FCW together, and I think Kofi might have been. I think he was in the main roster all along. But yeah, there's that good chemistry there. But we know who Team Rollins is going to be. But the question was like, who's going to be Team Reigns? And then he comes out, introduces them.
Surprise! Would you surprised at anybody that came out?
I was surprised about the Usos just because they were.
Oh, yeah, okay. The Usos, the return of the Usos.
Yeah, it was the Usos, Ryback, and then Dean Ambrose. And I've thought that if there's a surprise return of all things, especially tied into their family and everything, why not have them come out last? It's obvious Dean Ambrose, and then we haven't seen Ryback all night. So
I see what you're saying.
You can kind of figure why wasn't it that big pop for the Usos, especially since they pretty much set up that the New Day and the Usos is going to be the next match. Mm-hmm. So I think they really did the Usos a disservice here.
Which sucks for the Lucha Dragons because they're kicking ass right now.
Well, I think there's going to be a Survivor Series pre-show match with like Rusev, Barrett, Sheamus.
Not Rusev, he's gone.
He's gone for 2 weeks.
Just 2?
Yeah, just 2.
I thought this shit fell off the bone.
It said 2 weeks. What I heard was 2 weeks, but I don't know.
Maybe off TV for 2 weeks, but he ain't wrestling for. He got it. Basically, didn't Eric Rowan have the same injury?
I never heard that it was a. I heard that it was a bicep injury for 2 weeks, but that's literally all I heard about it. I didn't even. There was a headline that said heel wrestler injured, and I didn't realize who it was until I listened. I forget. Someone said it, and I heard him say it. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know, but that's what I heard. But I think it's gonna be like a tag team dynamic Survivor Series matchup because that's what they're kind of building to. But this match I thought was really good. I like how Xavier Woods was real hyped to get back in return, and then just got
he was Mark Henry from last Survivor Series. Yeah, he played Mark Henry.
Yeah, he came back in, got super kicked, taken out right away, and hilarious. I mean, Xavier Woods kind of stole the early going of this matchup and only did like 2 moves.
Oh yeah, so the match itself. Woods is eliminated by Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Kofi is eliminated by Jimmy Uso. Jay is eliminated by Big E.
And Big E's also eliminated by Jimmy too. Big E takes out both.
Wait. Owens eliminates Jimmy Uso. Big E is eliminated by Ryback. Ryback is eliminated by Rollins. And at the very end, there's a spot where Kevin Owens is basically holding Ambrose to sort of for Rollins to sort of to do something to, this is basically a tag team tandem.
I thought this spot was great.
But he's talking shit to him, and Owens is like, come on, do something. And he's still talking smack. He's talked smack enough to where Ambrose comes to, and he basically gets out of the situation, but then he gets back into the situation. But it was a ruse because once Rollins finally does something, he moves out of the way, big knee to Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Ambrose jumps out of the way.
Yeah, big knee to Kevin Owens. And so that's going to be tension there.
I thought that was great. Yeah, so it sets up other stuff you want to see. It sets up the New Day and the Usos. It sets up Owens and Rollins, and it gives you kind of what you still want to see in the pay-per-view coming up with Roman and Rollins. Rollins ends up taking Dean and Roman out with a chair, but then, of course, like very snarkily over the intercom comes out that Rollins loses the match because he uses the chair.
Yeah, kudos to Denver because that was a part I think made for the drama of the final three, which was basically the Shield all together again. Another week of the Shield. Basically the Shield has been running shop ever since they come in this motherfucker, and it boils down to them again here. And there's this moment of panic by Rollins, just look on his face, and you see the guys with like, dude, we got you cornered. And then the crowd, kudos to Denver.
What did they do?
You sold out. Eat your cake. You sold out. You sold out. And I thought, man, that's a cool cue. It wasn't like everyone was like cheering or booing. It was just like, here's the situation. You screwed these guys over, and now you're about to get your just desserts. And the crowd picked up on it and made that moment that much more like dramatic. I thought that was really cool for the Denver, Colorado guys to sort of pick up on that and add to the suspense of that very moment.
Yeah, I mean, the Shield's over, Rollins is over. I think it speaks to how good of a snarky heel Rollins is everyone wants to see him get his ass kicked. And he ended up, getting the upper hand with this chair, but then getting disqualified, so Roman and Dean ended up even winning. And I liked how
he got Superman punched too at the very end, so he didn't stand out on top.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying he definitely lost using the chair, and I like how he showed he was pissed about that. Normally, a lot of the times nowadays, when someone uses the chair, they're just maniacal and they didn't care about the match. But it came across as a blunder, like he messed up. Even though they were beaten up with chairs, they still kind of got over him because he couldn't win against them. Mm-hmm. So it made him look strong, and then like you said, they did take him out at the very end, and he ran away, clinching the belt. Yeah. Like every, dirtbag heel, like chicken shit heel does. I thought this was a great main event.
It was a good main event.
Great storyline, building the suspense of who's going to be in both groups.
And it ended with the right people in the Final Four, once you think about it. I mean, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins.
The other storyline was that, the mid-card level tag team storyline that got told out too. It was a perfect match.